Ranking the 6 main universe JoJos. For this list, I'm only going to be considering the JoJo as they appear in their main part. So JoJos that appear in multiple parts, I'm only going to focus on the one where they're actually the main character. A lot of people may not vibe with this list, but it is my personal list. Starting off at the absolute bottom, Jotaro. Jotaro's archetype just doesn't really do it for me. I find stoic badasses to be kind of boring. This, I think, is mainly an issue with the anime. I've seen manga panels, so I know that Jotaro being stoic is sort of juxtaposed with Star Platinum being actually very expressive. But as presented in the anime, Star Platinum is equally as stone-faced as Jotaro, and I just don't really find that engaging in a protagonist. I want to see a bit more passion, a bit more emotion. Just barely above Jotaro, Giorno. Pretty much a similar issue, except I think Giorno is just a little bit more expressive and a little bit more fabulous, and I think that pushes him just over the edge. That being said, Giorno is still the least interesting character in Part 5. That part is heavily carried by Bruno and the rest of the gang. Giorno ekes above Jotaro, but just barely. Next up, Josuke. And this one kind of bums me out because I do really like Part 4. The issue with Part 4 is that Josuke actually doesn't really get all that much to do. His part kind of gets hijacked by Jotaro. A lot of what Josuke does feels more like side content, especially when there are so many episodes devoted to what Koichi's doing or devoted to what Jotaro's doing. Josuke does get the final hits off, but it really does feel like he's just kind of there within his own part. A lot of people put Jonathan at the bottom of their rankings because, he's quote-unquote boring, his part's not the greatest, and I'll admit that. Phantom Blood is not the greatest story in terms of pacing, but I don't think that's Jonathan's fault. A lot of people, hate on Jonathan, but for me personally, I will take a goody two-shoes, do the right thing kind of protagonist over the stoic badass any day of the week. I think Jonathan's a good guy. I'd grab a couple beers with him if I could, and I think his ending is probably one of the most tragic things I've ever seen in anime. After that, at number 2, Jolene. I am just over halfway through Part 6, but I really dig Jolene. I think someone said it the best. She inadvertently queued into fucking master difficulty, and she's handling it exceptionally well. She's got style, she's got intelligence, she's making the most of her stand, and I think that just overall, I could not imagine Part 6 without her. She's definitely one of the more engaging characters in Part 6, and I think she just does really well as a lead. In first place, to probably very few people's surprise, Joseph. Joseph has an absolutely amazing introduction. I think his part is probably paced out the best, at least in my opinion. He's creative, he is intelligent, he's witty. The only real drawback with Joseph is that he's a bit of a sleaze. And honestly, I thought that was going to end up with him being a lot lower, but it didn't really matter in terms of the ranking. Joseph's just a really good all-around protagonist. Yeah, so here are the final rankings, and I'm excited for whenever Steel Ball Run gets animated.